Thanks so much for clicking on another Kinney Center YouTube video. My name's Emily and I'm a case manager here at the Kinney Center for Autism Education and Support. Today I'm going to be showing you a little bit of a cooking video. So we're going to make fruit a little bit fun today, and we're going to make apple nachos as well as strawberry frozen yogurt. So first we're going to go over all of the ingredients and materials as well as the steps you'll be taking to make both of these awesome recipes, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Will be linked down below if you guys want to print it out and follow along, or you can just pull it up on a computer as well and follow along that way too, whatever one works. So for our apple nachos, the ingredients that we're going to need is an apple. This can be any kind of apple that you want, Honey Crisp, Red Delicious, anything that you want, your favorite apple, it's completely up to you. Some chocolate chips, and then we're going to need some peanut butter. If you're allergic to peanut butter or you just don't eat peanut butter, you can totally switch this out for any almond butter, sunflower butter. If anybody's had the cookie butter from Trader Joe's, that's an awesome substitute as well. Again, totally up to you. And then we're going to have some coconut flakes as well as some chopped nuts, and those are both optional, completely up to you as well. The materials we'll need are some tablespoons, 2 small bowls, a knife, a cutting board, and a plate. So going right into the steps, the first thing you're going to want to do is slice up your apple into thin slices using your knife and your cutting board. If you need help with this, please make sure to ask whoever's around that is a little bit older that can help you cut up your apple. Next, we get to spread our apple onto our plate. This can be in any way that you want to, it really doesn't matter too much. And then we're going to place a tablespoon of chocolate chips into a small bowl and microwave that for 30 seconds or until it's melted. Same with the peanut butter or whatever substitute of peanut butter that you choose to use. We just want to melt that as well. And then using our spoons, we can then drizzle it onto our plate of sliced apples. And then after we've drizzled our peanut butter and our chocolate onto our sliced apples, then we can sprinkle the coconut flakes and the chopped nuts across all of our apples and enjoy. Alright, so now that we've gone over all of the steps and the different materials and ingredients that we'll need, and we've gathered all the ingredients and materials, let's get right into making it. So first, after we've washed our apple, we're going to start chopping it into thin little slices. Alright, I'm going to start by cutting the core out of the middle of it by just cutting it into 4 different pieces. And then we don't need this part, so we can just set it aside. And then I'm going to start cutting slices. These don't have to be perfect by any means. They're all going to the same place. So you can just cut up your apple as best that you can. And then once we have some slices, you can lay them out on your plate in whatever way that you want to. Alright, so then for our next step, we're going to open up our chocolate chips. And then we're going to want to pour a few into one of our 2 small bowls. We can use a measuring cup, or you can honestly just eyeball it as to how much chocolate you want drizzled on yours. And then we're going to pop this into the microwave. Alright, now that we have our chocolate all melted, we're going to do the same with our peanut butter. So you'll just want to take a spoonful or 2 out and pop it into a bowl. And again, we're going to put this in the microwave too. So after about 30 seconds, my peanut butter is definitely melted. It's nice and runny, so I'll be good for drizzling, so we can just set that aside. But it looks like my chocolate chips still need a little bit more time, so we're going to stick those back in. Okay, so then once we have our chocolate and our peanut butter all melted up, now it's time for the fun part. So now you just take your chocolate and mix it up a little bit. Be careful because it might be hot, so if you need someone else's help just getting it out, that's totally okay. Just make sure you ask. And then we just drizzle it on. And you can add as much or as little chocolate and peanut butter as you want. Also, please feel free to use any kind of substitute that you want in terms of peanut butter. There's sun butter, almond butter, a bunch of different substitutes you can use. So then once we have all our chocolate spread all on there to as much as we want, add as little or as much as you really want to. Make sure it's on every piece. Then we can add our peanut butter. This definitely melted a lot more than the chocolate did. And we can just drizzle that right on. Perfect. All right. So then next we can add, this is also an optional step, but you can add some coconut flakes just for a little bit of extra flavor. So you can just sprinkle those on, again, as little or as much as you want. Super, super yummy. And then if you have anything else like chopped up nuts, you can definitely add those too. But here's your finished product, some apple nachos. So after we finish making our apple nachos, which are gonna be so yummy, we just wanna make sure and clean up after ourselves just so that mom and dad doesn't have to do it for us. So we can just throw out our little apple core. And then when it comes to our chocolate and peanut butter, we can just scoop this out into the garbage and then wash these out or stick these right in the dishwasher. And then we just wanna be sure to put a clip on whatever packages you're using. So if you use chocolate chips or coconut flakes or chopped up nuts, just try to put a clip on them so they don't go bad and they stay fresh for the next time you want to make apple nachos. And then you can just stick whatever, either peanut butter or sunflower butter or almond butter, back in the fridge or back in the cabinet so that it doesn't go bad as well. And then we want to wash our cutting board and our plate and our knife just to make sure everything's put away and nobody needs to worry about anything else. So when it comes to making our strawberry frozen yogurt, you can actually decide if you want to use frozen strawberries or if you want to use fresh strawberries. When it comes to using frozen strawberries, you probably won't have to let it freeze for as long as you would using fresh strawberries. So it's completely up to you. It's definitely a choice that you can make depending how soon you want to eat it after you make your strawberry frozen yogurt. So the ingredients we'll need is 2 cartons of fresh strawberries, or you could also use frozen strawberries like I just said. Some honey, some plain Greek yogurt, as well as some lime juice. And then the materials that we'll need are some tablespoons, measuring cups, a blender, and Tupperware containers. So let's just go straight into the steps. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is cut the stems off of each strawberry and cut them in half, or even smaller pieces if it is a bigger strawberry. Next, you can place 4 cups of your cut strawberries into the blender and then add 3 tablespoons of honey, a half cup of your Greek yogurt, and then a tablespoon of lime juice. Then you're going to blend all the ingredients together. If you're using fresh strawberries, it should only take about 10 to 15 seconds to get everything blended up. If you're using frozen strawberries, it might take a little bit longer, but still shouldn't take more than 30 seconds. Then once all the ingredients are blended, you can pour your mixture into a Tupperware container and stick it in the freezer. If you're using fresh strawberries, you're going to want to check your mixture every 30 to 45 minutes just to make sure that your mixture doesn't freeze all the way through, since we want a scoopable consistency. And then once that's the consistency that you want, you can go ahead and enjoy. So now it's time to make some strawberry frozen yogurt. So once you have all your materials and ingredients gathered, then we can get started. So the first step to making our strawberry frozen yogurt is we're going to cut up the strawberries. So we're going to need 4 cups of strawberries. So what I'm going to do is take each of our strawberries and cut the stems off, as well as cut them in half. And then I'm just going to add each cut up one to our measuring cup just so that I know how many we're adding. And I'm just going to continue to do that until we get 4 full cups of strawberries. So with each one, we're just going to add it in. And again, you just want to be super careful since we are using a knife. So if you do need assistance with cutting them up, that's totally fine. Just be sure to ask, because I don't want anybody getting hurt or anything like that. So once we have a full cup of strawberries all cut up, then we can go ahead and add it into the blender that we're going to be using. So I'm just going to add it into this one, and then we'll keep going until we have all 4 cut up and ready to be blended. When you're cutting up your strawberries, if you do have a bigger one like this one, feel free to cut it into a few different pieces, not just in half, just so that it is easier when we do end up blending it all up. Because some of these are kind of big. You also want to be sure to cut off the white part if your strawberries aren't super ripe. We just want to get the red, juicy part into our frozen yogurt. So once we have all of our strawberries chopped up and in our container to be blended, we can move on to adding the rest of our ingredients to the blender. So first we're going to add 3 tablespoons of honey. So I have my spoon here and my honey. So I'm just going to add some honey to the spoon and then just dump it right in. And with this honey is really meant for adding sweetness to the frozen yogurt. So feel free to add as little or as much as you want, depending on how sweet you want your frozen yogurt to be. So we're just going to add in 1 more. And then we can move on to our Greek yogurt. So for our Greek yogurt, we're going to need a 1/2 cup. So I am just going to take my Greek yogurt and just scoop it out into the 1 cup measuring cup and just put about 1/2 of it into the measuring cup just so I know how much I'm adding. And then put it into our blender. So that looks like about halfway filled. So I'm just going to now dump it into our blender. And make sure to scoop out all of the yogurt out of the measuring cup. And then last but not least, we are going to add our lime juice. This is again just for taste. It'll add like a little bit of tartness to our frozen yogurt. So with that, I'm just going to add in about a tablespoon of lime juice, maybe a little bit less just because I don't want mine to be super tart. I'm just going to use the same spoon as I did for the yogurt just because it's all really going into the same place. So then once that's added, we can move right on to blending. So next I just moved all of our other ingredients out of the way for now, and then we can clean that stuff up later. And for this blender, you just have to screw on the bottom, make sure it's nice and tight. We don't want anything leaking when we actually start to blend. And then we can push it onto the bottom and press really hard. And then blend. Once you finish blending, you can go ahead and make sure that everything is combined. This only took about 15 to 20 seconds, not even, to blend it all the way up. And then you'll want to unscrew the cap and make sure that you have your Tupperware container ready to go. And then you can just go ahead and take the cap off, set that aside, and then just pour your mixture into the Tupperware, put a lid on it, and then stick it in the freezer for it to freeze. So once you've separated your mixture out into your Tupperware containers, whether it takes 1 or 2, it's completely fine. You can then just stick these in the freezer, and every 30 minutes or so, you should go down and probably check to see the consistency of your frozen yogurt, just because if you keep it in the freezer for too long, then it might potentially freeze into like a block of ice, and we wouldn't want that. We want it to be more of a flexible, lighter consistency that you'll be able to scoop out and eat like ice cream. So you can just stick these in the freezer and check on those. When it comes to cleaning up, we definitely want to be sure to clean up after ourselves. So you can go ahead and clean out all of the materials that you use. So just you can throw out all of the tops of your strawberries in the garbage can, and then for the rest of your materials, such as your cutting board, spoons, any bowls or cups, that you use as well as your blender. You want to be sure to clean that all off with soap and water using a sponge or a brush, just so that we get all of the germs away, and then we got to put it away back where we found it. When it comes to our ingredients, we want to be sure to also put those back in the correct spot. So our strawberries and our yogurt we can put back in the fridge, as well as our lime juice. And then for our honey, you can just stick that back in the cabinet or wherever you found it, and you'll be all cleaned up and good to go. Thank you guys so much for watching today. I had so much fun trying out all these new recipes that are actually super, super healthy, but also super yummy. Let me know how it went for you guys with making these recipes along with me. And I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much.